Hey guys, bored now, back with you for another horror movie review. First one in a while, and this is going to be of a brand new release. It is the latest in the Grudge franchise. And when I say latest, it's basically another American attempt to reboot it, reimagine it, whatever you call it. This came out today. I saw it at the cinema earlier tonight, and I mean, first of all, I have to say this reimagining, or whatever you want to call it, it's actually pretty similar to the original story, but it's introduced one of the most annoying words I think we'll hear all year, and that is a sidequel. So as in sequel, but sidequel, because it features events from the first film, but then events after it and around the time, several different perspectives. Couple things to mention: Sam Raimi is one of the producers for this new Grudge film. It's the 13th Grudge film overall, believe it or not, and it's directed by Nicholas Persque. I'm not quite sure how you pronounce his name, but Pesce, who's a pretty credible horror director. His credits include The Eyes of My Mother. I've heard some good stuff about that, and also he directed the film Piercing, which came out last year, which I've seen a little bit of. I've not seen all of it yet. From what I saw, it was pretty impressive. It had a really interesting style to it, and yeah, it looked to be doing some good stuff. So that's one I've got on my list to return to. And a really strong cast as well. I mean, Andrew Riseborough is kind of the main lead. You've got Lynn Shay here. You've got Jackie Weaver, really fine character actress. You've got William Sadler in quite a small role, but he's in there as well. He's another really good character actor. Betty Gurpin from Glow, the Netflix show, which of course I really love. She's an actress I really like as well. So with all those elements, why is it such a terrible, boring movie? It's really bad. It's a total mess, and it was not scary at all, in my opinion. I'm going to keep this pretty short and sweet because I don't think there's much to really discuss about this film. But bland is the word, bland and them son. Nothing of any interest really happens in this film. It really seems to play out in slow motion, and it's kind of one of those things. I mean, there's a few laughable scenes, but they're not really played up in a way that you can like entertain them. I think you kind of maybe just laugh out of boredom. Like, I don't think that was intentional. So you get farcical scenes like that, but kind of farcical in a bad way, not in an entertaining good way. It's not like they really do anything with them. I suspected like a couple of the cast, like maybe Lynn Shay, she knew she was in a real turkey, and so I think maybe she just went with it and kind of did some goofy things to try and make it more entertaining. But yeah, there wasn't enough overacting or quality hammy moments to really save this. It's an absolute turkey, and its worst crime is the fact that it is so boring. You know, you're waiting and waiting for something interesting to happen. It's very by the numbers. It's very confused because it has all these different perspectives. It jumps around. And there's this sense that it was just trying to be too clever. It was trying to, whereas you could just, this sort of story, you just want to simplify it and just get on with the horror stuff, the atmosphere and the mood of it. So, I mean, if I explain too much about the plot, I'll probably confuse myself, and I just couldn't really be bothered. But basically, you have the story in Japan with the nurse. She then comes home to America, and she basically brings the curse with her, the curse of the ghost, and then that affects, the people she comes in contact with. And then when she goes to the house, the curse obviously then gets entrenched in the house. And years later, you have like this investigation of these bodies that are linked to the whole thing, and Andrea Riseborough plays the main detective, and she has a partner who's familiar actor. I've seen him in plenty of stuff actually, and they're trying to solve the case. At the same time, she has a kid who, one of them, well, I mean, I might be overstating it if I said one of the worst child actors, but he is really bad, and to be fair, he's given some bad lines. And that's kind of the plot, but they jump about a lot in this really confusing way. Now, one way to describe this film is that it has the feel of one of those very cheesy, very cheap, like television crime documentaries that just have it has this really sort of kind of grainy but also bleached out, ugly sort of style to it. And it looks really cheap and tacky. There's just no visual flair to the film at all. And it kind of starts with the opening credits, because the opening credits, you get like these kind of corny like phrases on on the screen, which is meant to kind of shock you, and oh, this is so provocative, but it's just really corny, as I said. But they do this really naff thing with like the letters, where they kind of have all white letters except for like this one word in the middle that'll be in red letters, and it's meant to like really shock you and make you think. And then it opens, and as I said, you get this really like ugly, bleached out like color palette, and it does look like one of those made for TV like crime documentaries. And that's one of the baffling things, is that they sort of play it as quite a straight sort of crime drama for a lot of it, and the tone is all over the place, because then obviously as things progress, you get the horror elements just thrown in, but it just feels like a grab bag of things. um, and it's such a confusing, messy film. Then it just makes the actors, who are obviously, there's some really good actors in here, just make them look like mediocre actor. I mean, for a lot of time, Andrea Riseborough just looks around bored. She mopes about a lot. You can almost tell she doesn't want to be in this film, and she's, for me, one of the best actresses around today. I mean, she's fantastic in everything she's in. Even if the film's not great, she sort of lifts it. And I mean, she's okay in this. She kind of does her best, but as I said, there's times when she looks really bored. And I think this film is proof again that if the material's not there and the direction's not there, it kind of doesn't matter how talented the cast are. It's still gonna fail. It's still gonna be a bit of a turkey, and that's what we get. There's no chemistry between her and her partner, because the film jumps around so much in like perspectives. You don't really have a chance to really get into their relationship, or really build any sense of a connection there. And he looks bored, and he mumbles a lot of his lines. I think part of the problem with this film is it just takes itself way too seriously. It's just played way too straight, and you needed one or the other. You needed like a really intense, really atmospheric horror, which obviously we don't get, or you needed maybe just more of a ham fest, just a bit more of a fun, crazy out there film. And it just ended up as this awkward, really bland middle ground film. Lin Shaye's there because she tends to always get cameos in these sorts of modern films just to tick a box, just to have that credibility. And she plays this sort of stereotypical, crazy old lady, who's really disturbed, messed up. And it's just a token part for her. Again, she's way better than this. I think one of the highlights of the film actually comes from her quite late on, where the Jackie Weaver character has come down and she realised then the Lin Shaye character has killed like her. The man in the house, I lose interest. I can't remember if it was her husband or her son. But that shows you how uninterested I was in this. But it's quite a funny, like, hammy moment where she's there and she's like cutting up fingers sort of thing at the desk, and she has quite a funny line as well. But that's quite a fun visual moment. The effects are mostly tacky and not very convincing. I think there's sort of a good one when one of the characters is in the shower, and I think it's on the poster actually, and the hand suddenly appears in it. That's quite a nice little practical effect, but for the most part the effects are really, really bad. The editing of the film is awful as well. It just feels so jumbled together. It feels like almost like it's out of order, or then they just put in random bits there and there's no rhyme or reason. As I said, very confusing, but the editing doesn't help. It's really, really clunky. You get scenes that feel like they're rushed through, where there's not enough of a pause before it jumps to the next scene. It comes across as a really confused film, and considering like the director has this reputation, he also writes the script apparently, although there's a story credit for someone called Jeff Bueller, so maybe he has to take some of the blame for the mess. But who knows, maybe Nicholas Pearce isn't the best storyteller. Maybe his talent is more with directing, who knows. But yeah, really, as I said, really awful visual style, and you're just waiting for stuff to happen. It just drags on, and it's like these people don't understand drama. And it would almost be something if you got some good random scares, but you don't. The film lacks any real atmosphere or menace, and outside of one or two maybe laughable moments, very, very little happens in this film. And it is that worst offence of just being boring and not even entertaining you, not giving you anything interesting. And it totally wastes a really good cast. That's what frustrates me even more. It's a true turkey. I'm not going to waste any more time talking about it, but I was going to do this video anyway because it's a horror movie. I know a lot of you on here are into horror movies and follow them, so I thought I'd review it. It's worth reviewing, I guess, just to tick it off. But it's worth reviewing also to say, don't go and see it. Don't give them your money. This is not worth your time. It's absolutely terrible. It's one of the most boring films I've seen in a very long time. So I'm going to rate it and get out of here, and I'm going to give it a 2 out of 10. Yes, 2 out of 10. It's absolute garbage. That is The Grudge 2020. And I'll see you guys again soon. Goodbye.